Welcome to the Restore Your Pelvic Floor Taster class. Let's start with a calf stretch. So remembering to keep your feet pointing straight ahead, your pelvis aligned, and keep breathing, allow that relaxation to your abdomen. And change feet. And again, just have a look where your feet are pointing. If you can take a step forward, that's fine, do that. But if you need to just stay where you are and that gives you enough stretch, that's fine. I'll move over onto the other foot. Remember, you can never do this stretch too much. The more you do it, the more you're going to undo all those issues from sitting for so long. And change feet again. Think about releasing any tension you have in your abdomen. Check where your pelvis is. Check where your feet are pointing. And change feet again. Like I said, you cannot do this exercise too much. If this is all you can fit into your day, then this is perfect. Just do this exercise. Okay, let's move on now. Onto the other foot. If you can take a step forward, then do so. Eventually you'll want to take a little bit of step forward. Okay, let's move on to the top of the foot stretch, releasing all that tension in the top of your feet. And you need to make sure that you have most of the weight in your front foot, the foot that's standing, rather than the stretching foot. And change feet. Remembering, if you want to increase the stretch, move your stretching foot further back. And if you want to decrease the stretch, move it closer to your standing leg. And change feet. Remembering to think about where your pelvis is. Make sure your heel is not sliding out to the side, but is in line with the rest of your leg. Breathe. Release tension in your abdomen. Let's change feet one last time. And now let's get your chair to work on the seated click-clack. This is the exercise that is going to help to mobilize your pelvis. So sit on your blanket or your half dome. Make sure that you've got the pelvis aligned before you start doing this, and then you're just going to simply rock back and forth. And use your feet to push and pull you back and forth. You don't want to be using your back to do this exercise. The more you do it, the easier it will become. Great. So standing up, we're now going to do the double calf stretch. So get your half dome or your rolled up blanket, put it a couple of inches in front of your chair, and remembering to hinge from the hips so you keep your back nice and straight. And again, if you need to bolster up, if you need to put blankets on the chair, or even use the back of the chair to bend down to, if you've got too much tension in the hamstrings and calves, then do that. You don't get prizes for overstretching yourself in these classes. Lovely. Okay, we'll put the chair to one side and we'll go back to a top of the foot stretch. Again, this is another delicious stretch that you just can't get enough of. Remembering to make sure that your heel is not winging out to the side. And change feet. And it's always interesting to note whether one side is more tense than the other. It gives you a little frame of reference to work from and see the results you're getting. Okay, let's have some fun and do the monster walk now. So standing right over to one side of the room and just start rocking back from one side, one foot to the other to start with, just allowing your hips to get the feel of the weight they need to take. And then just starting to move across. Remember, this is a slow, steady exercise. It really gets your hips working. Remember that you don't want to bring your feet close into each other. You want to keep that tension. Okay, and you've reached one side. Let's come back. This is a great strengthening exercise for the hips. It's going to help get your the hips and the muscles around your pelvis nice and strong to really support your pelvis in a proper aligned position. And that is the key to helping your pelvic floor become functional. Okay, lovely. Let's go into a seated quad stretch now. So you'll need your towel or blanket rolled up to place underneath your bottom so that you can get into a nice aligned position. And you're going to cross one foot over the other. Remember that the ankle needs to be crossed over, not your foot. Otherwise you put your ankle in too much of a strain. And this is a lovely stretch. You're just allowing your knee to drop down towards the floor. Really important not to force it, but just allow it to move on its own. The longer you stay in this position, the more that knee will start to release, or the muscles will start to release. And change feet. And back over to the other side. You should feel each time you do this that the muscles are releasing and your knee is able to drop lower towards the floor. One last time on this foot. Great, so pop your chair to one side and let's get back to some more monster walking. Just try and keep your feet pointing straight ahead of you, even though you're going sideways. And remembering to keep your abdomen nice and relaxed. Keep breathing. And come back to where you started. Great, and get your chair and we'll do one more round of the seated glute stretch. And again, remembering to get your pelvis aligned first and that you're crossing over your legs and keeping your ankle resting on your leg, not your foot. Otherwise your ankle gets too strained. Lovely, and change feet. See if that knee is able to drop down a little bit lower. Is it releasing? Don't worry if it's not. Change legs. As I say, don't worry if it's not releasing. The more times you do this, the more that muscle will start to release the tension. You're really wanting to think about getting your knees level. Let's change over the last time on this leg. Okay, and now stretch your legs forward, and we're going to do a kneecap release. So really getting the tension out of your quad muscles. So remember, you're just thinking about lifting and lowering your kneecaps. They're doing their own little Macarena. Lovely, well done. And we will get onto our toe mobility. Remember, we're getting your toes mobile is also going to be having a great influence on your pelvic floor. They just want you to concentrate on trying to lift your big toe without the other ones joining in. If it's a struggle, just hold down the other toes and just practice lifting and lowering the toe without the other toes becoming involved in the whole game. Their turn comes later. Wonderful. And now, congratulations, you've come to the end of this video. Get yourself rested into a psoas release. And this video is coming to an end, but take 10 to 15 minutes of just lying in your psoas release. Well done.